Doomerism has swept across YouTube. People are saying how awful the world is, how there is no meaning and purpose in our lives. We can't get a house. The money for our work is awful. The culture seems diluted. Nothing seems to be worth it within our lives. And because of this truth, Doomer content has really grown and grown and grown into this big monster that needs to be addressed. Doomerism is kind of right. That is the problem with it. It is kind of right, but it's not the right way to go about things. And I do not like the people who keep encouraging this doomerist narrative. It plagues the world more than you can imagine. Because it's not just about the simple truths on the external, it's about how that affects your internal. There can be a certain level of truth on the external, and we can talk about it somewhat, but as soon as that turns into our internal, that is when we have made a very grave mistake. And I think our generation of Zoomers have made this very grave mistake. We think we are raising awareness of the issues, but what we are really doing is degrading our minds and our internal worlds into a state where we can no longer believe in a greater world. And because we no longer believe in a greater world within ourselves, a greater world will never happen externally. You've probably heard of this, about the external and the internal, whether that's wisdom from your favorite celebrities or favorite philosophers, or maybe you've heard it in a movie or a YouTube video, but you don't really understand what this means. The world is a mirror of yourself within. This is a very deep esoteric concept that our generation needs to understand. Because it's not just that the world is a bad place, it's that our attitude towards it keeps igniting the fire of the world and its current state. Once we cure this doomeristic narrative within our generation, that is when we can move to a greater world. We can change our internal, which can then change the outer world. Our internal world is our free will, it is our desires, it is our beliefs, it is our perceptions, it is our interests, it is where our attention lies, it is who we are supporting, it is our mental energy, it is what we do every day. This is what we can call the video game character. This is who you are. Those with great strength and those with great character do not let the external world affect their internal world. So what is the external world? The external world is the economy, the news channel, social media, other people's opinions, the collective environment, your workplace, the education system, the future of mankind, and the collective narrative of what most people think the world is. If you let the external pollute your internal, you have ultimately failed in this grand game of life. And it's fine if you failed in the past, because then you can change your future. It's not about how you start the race, it's about how you finish it. And if we can change right now to stop letting the external pollute our internal, we can pollute the external with our internal. Right now, the external world has polluted our internal world. Gen Z is the ultimate culprit of this. And inherently, we're not all to blame, because nobody tells us this truth. The external world has failed our generation, which is why I believe our generation can change it, because we have lots of time left. And it's not about how you start the race, it's about how you finish it. You may have been born in the wrong place, in the wrong family, in the wrong economic environment. But who are you when you wake up from that? Who are you in the middle of the race when you have some energy left to strive forwards with all your willpower and win the race? Do you do it? Or do you let the external world control your internal? Is your internal drive not strong enough to finish the rest of the race? This is the test of our character. What determines the test of your character? Who are you when there is nothing going for you? What is your internal world when there is nothing left? When you take certain free will actions when no one is watching, that is how you build character and an inner world. This inner world, integrity and character, stands against all trials and tribulations. It's easy to keep going when you have success, fame, or money. But who are you? What character do you have when you have nothing? That is what defines a person. That is what defines the internal world. It is not about the external world. It is about your internal world and how you strive through the world no matter what the external says. Do you allow the external world to pollute your internal world? On this channel, I strive for people to achieve greatness. I do not mean to achieve greatness in some shallow sense, where you are trying to achieve greatness to please others, to gain some certain level of fame or social validation or money. You do not need greatness. You do not need some external validation. You are already greatness. But you are here to test your greatness, your character, your integrity, and your internal world when nobody is watching. This is the test of the matrix. When someone passes this test, this is the type of person who changes the world when they do reach a certain level of success, money, or fame, because they stay true to who they were in the beginning. You are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, excellence is a habit. Aristotle. You are what you repeatedly do. Therefore, greatness is a habit. You are what you repeatedly do. So doomerism is a habit. But it's not how you start the race. It's how you finish it. So, who is your internal world? What do you repeatedly do? What do you repeatedly watch? What do you repeatedly allow into your internal world? Repeatedly do excellence. Repeatedly do greatness. Repeatedly have character. Repeatedly have an internal world and a certain level of integrity, especially when you have nothing going for you, because that is the person who actually changes the world, beats the matrix, and completes this video game we call Earth. Death. Death is coming for you whether you like it or not. You can sit here and watch doomer content, all day. You truly can if that is what you want. But are you allowing the external world to pollute your internal world? And if you are, you have failed at this video game we call Earth. You are not playing the meta, the most effective tactic available. Death is coming for you. What are you going to make of this world? Are you going to strive for what you truly desire within your heart of hearts with all your might? Are you going to pollute the external world with your internal world? This world, whether or not you like it, is a video game. And it is not God who judges you. It is not some spiritual authority who judges you. It is you who judges you. At death, you will face the man in the mirror, and your highest version will judge you. Your internal world will judge you, not the external world, but your internal world. So what does your highest version of self think of you being a doomer, rather than striving for something greater and living out the integrity of your own character? Would it rather you allow the external to pollute the internal, or would it rather you grow the internal, grow the character, grow your integrity, grow knowledge, grow skill, and then pollute the external world with your own greatness? You're here in this video game, whether you like it or not. So play it to the best goddamn level you can. And if you fail or die in the process, you can look at the man in the mirror at death and be proud of yourself. Death is coming. Time is coming. Your internal highest world will judge you. And this video game we call life will end. Time will fall whether or not you like it. So you may as well do something with it in the most effective way possible. Beat the video game now. Develop your character now. Develop your internal world now. So when the time falls, you'll be proud of who you are and what you did. You are what you repeatedly do. Your internal world is where your attention lies. It's your perception of reality. It's your belief, programs, and what decides that? Usually, it's the external world polluting your internal world. If you repeatedly watch doomer content, if you repeatedly think about how doomeristic this world is and how this future of our world is going into a darkness, then that is who you will be. The world is a mirror of your internal world. So how do you change the external world? You change the man in the mirror. The mirror is your internal world. Whatever you believe, know, and convict in with the whole of your soul, that is what you will see in yourself and the world around you. If you believe and know you will have a good day, you will see how you are having a good day. If you believe, know, and convict that you'll have a bad day, you will see how you are having a bad day. Some may say and believe, know, and convict that what I'm saying here is a bunch of bullcrap. But the truth is, they believe and know it's a bunch of bullcrap. Therefore, it is a bunch of bullcrap. Do you understand? You are what you repeatedly know and believe in at the deepest part of your soul and internal world. So, if at the deepest part of your internal world believes and knows that the future is dark and that the world sucks, what are you polluting onto the external world? You are igniting the flame of the darkness in the world. Therefore, to pollute the external world in a greater, grander way, we must strive to change our internal world first. We must strive to change our beliefs and perceptions. We must believe, know, and convict in truths that pollutes the external world in a greater manner. So let's ask the question. Is saying Gen Z is cooked, posting that on YouTube, and then maybe you watching Gen Z is cooked, and then saying, yeah, Gen Z is cooked, and then doing that within the deepest part of your soul and convicting in that truth, and then after watching that video, you turn it off and you go about your life, and in the background, your internal world knows Gen Z is cooked. What are you polluting onto the external world? Are you polluting onto the external world a greater world? Is the man in the mirror creating a greater world? You must understand that belief, perception, and your internal world is the video game you select to play. You can select any belief program you want to, and that is the video game you will play. Because your beliefs, knowing, and convictions control desires, control perceptions, they can control emotions. And what does all of these things control? Well, they control free will. Let's use an example. Why do you eat an apple? Why do you take the free will action to go and eat an apple? Because you desire to go and eat the apple. Why do you go to work? Why do you take the free will action to get out of bed and go to work? Because you desire money. So desire controls free will action. But why do you desire what you desire? Why does your internal world desire something? And is that the best video game your internal world can play? Your belief programs control desires. Your desires can be controlled in multiple ways. It can be controlled through the external world polluting your internal world through mental suggestion, environment, and beliefs in certain truths. Let's first talk about beliefs and how that controls desire. If you believe Christianity is the truth, and you know and convict in that truth with your whole soul, you will then desire to go to church on a Sunday, and your free will actions will manifest into that desire. If you believe, know, and convict in the truth that the world is doomed, then you will desire a certain level of escapism. Your internal world will suck, and therefore the external world will suck. You will be more susceptible to certain escapism, to having a doomeristic perception of the world. You will not desire to be the highest version of yourself. You will not desire to strive for something greater, because why would you when you believe the world is already doomed? And why do you believe the world is already doomed? Because the external world has polluted your internal world. Another way desires can be changed is through mental suggestion. Mental suggestion is essentially the external world suggesting a certain desire onto you, and because it's suggesting a certain desire onto you, it's easier for your internal world to take a free will action onto that desire. Mental suggestion can be imprinted onto your internal world through adverts, through social media, through environments, through the collective culture, through judgments, through family, through anything in the external world. The movie They Live shows this in the best possible way. This movie was made in the 80s, so their mental suggestions are kind of outdated to what our mental suggestions would be now. But let's still use the example. The man sees an advert, a poster and a billboard on the side of the city, and it displays a woman in a bikini saying, "Go to the Caribbean now." So what is that mental suggestion? Well, he puts on his glasses and he can see the mental suggestion. He can see the desire of the external world trying to pollute your internal world. And what is that desire and mental suggestion? Marry and have children. When you expose yourself to this billboard in a certain amount of times, your external world will pollute your internal world. You will desire what the external world wants for your internal. And you might say, well, there's nothing wrong with desiring a family, desiring to go to the Caribbean. And you may be right. Like I said, this is kind of outdated, this example, because this was in the 80s. And to be honest, if we're questioning this, you could probably question the grander matrix itself. But let's move on to a more recent example. He walks down the street. There is a for sale sign. And with his glasses, the mental suggestion and the desire the matrix wants you to have is to consume. And if you allow that desire within you and you take free will action on that desire, then it's easier for that desire to manifest again and again and again. So, if you were to see this mental suggestion, if you were to see this desire, if you were to see this external world trying to pollute your internal world, and you say, yeah, there's a deal, that's a good price, I am now going to consume, then the next time there is a sale, the next time the external world is trying to pollute your internal world, the easier it will be to follow through with that desire again and again and again. So then you will consume and consume and consume. Now, this movie showed a lot of mental suggestions and desires that I won't fully go into. But you must ask the question, if merely a billboard on the side of the street in the 80s has this control over people's minds, what is our phone doing to us? How much is the external world polluting our internal world? What's key to understand here is that this is a double-edged sword. You can either amplify or degrade your mind with your phone. What I'm about to say now is very, very important. It could be argued that free will doesn't exist in 2026 because it's not enough to just have free will. You have to control your own internal world. You must control your own desires and your own beliefs internally rather than letting the external world pollute and decide that for you. Because if you were to allow the external world to decide and pollute that for you, is it really your free will choice? Or is it someone else's free will choice? If you were to load up TikTok and there is a certain piece of clothing that looks cool, has lots of attention, is creating a new culture, will you then desire that piece of clothing? Will you then desire, with your free will action, to go and buy this piece of clothing? And if you do buy the piece of clothing, is that your will, or is that the external will? This truth goes extremely, extremely deep. Philosophers have questioned whether free will exists even without the internet, without our phones. And most of them decided that free will doesn't exist. Because let me ask you, if you desire an apple and you go and take the free will to take the apple and eat the apple, was that really you? Because where did that desire come from? Well, that desire came from your biology. It came from a desire to taste the apple. It was an impulse through your biological system. But did you design your biological system? No, right? That was God or another spiritual influence. So when I desire an apple, that's not necessarily me controlling that desire. That's my human biology, which isn't really me because I am merely just a consciousness. But there is a certain degree to this. And this is what I have decided upon. You either have two choices in this world. You can desire and choose the belief systems the external world wants for you, which isn't of your choosing, or you can desire and choose what your internal, your highest version of self, a spiritual influence, God, what that wants for you. Philosophers again have debated whether even this spiritual influence or God or your heart of hearts is truly free will because you didn't necessarily control these desires. Right, my heart of hearts may desire to change the world completely. But did I control that desire? No, not really. But it's not a matter of whether it was you or not, because you still must make a choice. And no choice is still a choice. You must choose. So, do you choose the external world? Do you choose doomerism? Do you choose the external polluting your internal? Or do you look within yourself? Do you look within your heart of hearts? Do you look within your highest version of self and choose that? Do you have faith that yes, maybe I did choose this before incarnating, that I choose this desire that I wanted before I even came to the earth? And the small chance that I did do that, the small chance that I actually chose this before coming here and it's actually greater for myself, I will choose this option instead. And then I will grow my internal world based upon this desire rather than the desire of the external world. If this world is a video game, what is the meta? What is the meta to select for our internal world? In video games, there is a term called meta, which stands for most effective tactic available. For example, let's say you're playing a fighter video game. There is going to be a certain character that is the most effective one available. If you were to match two fighters with similar skill level and ability, and one chooses a fun, cool character, and the other person chooses the most effective character available, the most effective character available will always win. It is the meta. It has a certain stat, a certain skill that is the most effective available. If you are playing a competitive video game It is in your best interest to understand what the most effective tactic is, what the meta is, so that then you can use the meta and you can build skill on top of the meta, so that then you are a greater player. So, if the world is a video game, if your internal world is a video game, if your beliefs, your knowings, and your convictions are a video game, what is the meta to believe in? It's crucial to understand a certain truth. Objective reality doesn't matter as much as you think it does. Your perceptions, your internal world, and your beliefs and knowings matter far more than what you can perceive objective reality to be. It's very crucial to understand your goals in life and then select the meta internal world, perceptions, and beliefs for that goal to come to fruition. Your beliefs and internal world are like water. You can change it to anything you want to. So let's say your goal is to have a family, to live a great life, to have a meaningful job. Maybe it's to change the world. Maybe it's to become the greatest possible athlete, to become the next Michael Jackson. What is the meta internal world for that reality to occur? Well, it's not doomerism, and it's not allowing of that mental suggestion and that external reality to pollute on our internal. It's not actually any of these religions, funnily enough. I love Jesus, but Christianity has become diluted and very shallow because it lacks depth. And it lacks depth because it was created for everyone in the world to understand. Therefore, it is not the most effective tactic available. Therefore, it is not the most effective belief or knowing to believe in, if it is truly greatness that you desire. The most effective internal world, belief, and perception is that God and your higher self has your back. That you believe, know, and convict in your own greatness. That you will convict, know, and take free will action of what your heart of hearts truly desires. And if you wish, a strong internal desire for divine unity for all of humanity. You can complete this world individually, and you can complete this world collectively. If every single person in our world, if every single person in our generation looked at the man in the mirror and changed themselves to enact their internal will, to enact their heart of hearts will, to enact the will of their highest self, then we can then complete this collective video game we call Earth. Because what is the completion of this collective video game we call Earth? Well, it's a divine utopia with no evil ruling the world, free electricity, etc. And if we were all to look at the man in the mirror, if we were all to look within ourselves and control our internal world and pollute the external world with our internal world, that would occur, but only if we all did that. This is how Earth gets completed. This is how this video game gets completed individually and collectively. It is the meta to complete this world. The meta to completing this world individually and collectively is to have a strong internal world, even when you have nothing. Then polluting the external world with your internal world. Someone who polluted the external world with their internal world is Michael Jackson. He knows what I've talked about in this video. When he was a kid, he can never understand why evil exists and why the world is the way it is. He wanted to make the world a better place. And he knew that he could imprint certain desires and certain perceptions and certain mental suggestions onto other people. He wanted to pollute people's internal world with his music, which is why he creates things like Man in the Mirror. And this is something you can strive for. You can strive to attain some level of greatness, whether that's on a broader perspective, whether that's small in your community, whether that's online. You can pollute the external world with your internal world. The world is a mirror. So, if you are posting doomer content, you are polluting the external world with your shit internal world. And the world will become a darker place because of it. Now, since you reached the end of this video, I'm going to now prove to you that God actually exists, but only for those who have an open internal world. Since completing this video game is a divine utopia, no evil running the world, free electricity, etc., and because the meta internal world, beliefs, perceptions, desires, is a God and is your higher self, that is proof that God is real. Because if we were all to believe in this, if we were all to have this internal world polluting the external world, then we would complete the Earth video game collectively. We would have a divine utopia. We would have free electricity. We would have no evil running the world. And we would have completed this Earth video game. And if we were to complete this Earth video game, and we got there, and we realized God isn't real, who gives a crap? We completed the Earth video game. Therefore, we should believe, know, and have this internal world regardless of if it is the truth in objective reality. Because with this internal world, we will complete the Earth video game. And if we complete the Earth video game, there is no complaints. The fact that this is the meta is proof that God exists. Because in a world where you can't prove God exists in objective reality, that is the only way faith can exist. Because if you can prove God is real in objective reality, faith wouldn't exist. So the sheer fact that this is the meta is proof that it is real. Because if he isn't real, why would we even care? We completed the video game. If you desire a greater life and world and want more guidance, feel free to check out my book or my personal help. Thanks for watching.